Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. And if you're new to my channel, a special welcome to you. This is Living in Colorado, and I'm your host, Daryl Vaughn Realtor. Here on this channel, we talk about everything Colorado. We focus a lot in Denver, since that's where I currently live, and we talk a lot about real estate, because that's what I do. Today, I have a very special video for you, and I'm coming to you from the Denver Botanic Gardens, one of my favorite places in Denver. We're going to talk today about saving money on your landscaping bill by using Colorado native plants and drought tolerant plants. So today we're going to talk to my friend Anthony Gemma, who is a landscape designer specializing in drought tolerant plants as well as Colorado native plants. Let's talk to Anthony. I'm here with landscape designer Anthony Gemma, who specializes in Colorado native and drought tolerant plants. And we're going to talk today about how you can save money on your landscape maintenance expenses by using drought tolerant and Colorado native plants. So, Anthony, how's it going today?
It's great. Thanks for having me on your channel, Daryl.
Well, you're very welcome, and thanks for being on our channel. I mean, this is something that's really exciting to me, because when I was a bit younger, I was super interested in horticulture, and I took a class in the community college on drought tolerant and California native plants, and I always found that it was really so fascinating. But I have a lot of clients that have yards, and one thing that I'm asked pretty frequently is find me a townhome that doesn't have a yard, because the maintenance is, it's a lot of work and it's pretty expensive. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about how we can minimize those costs for people that are buying a home and maybe want to take a different approach to their yard work. So I wanted to start by asking you, do you have any sort of estimate on maybe the annual cost in terms of, like, how much does it cost to maintain a conventional lawn, just grass, trees, and shrubs? What do you think?
Yeah, so it depends. So there's a few factors to think about when you're determining how much water you're putting into your lawn, your front lawn, your back lawn. Some of it comes down to where you live. Some of it comes down to the type of grass. Most people really like something like a Kentucky bluegrass, which has great feel, great color, but it's not adapted to drier climates, so the water input is a lot higher. A typical lawn in a dry climate like Denver, Colorado Springs, can use as much as 75 gallons per year per square foot. And on average, across climates in America, Americans use more water on their exterior landscaping than they use on all their, showers, washing machine, dishwasher, all the interior things that we actually, kind of need to use for our lifestyle. We use more water just watering our lawns.
Right.
In some cases, just sit and don't get used.
Yeah. I imagine we also use more water than we drink ourselves on our lawns.
Yeah, no, we literally do. I mean,
that's kind of crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking at solutions to kind of reduce or minimize our costs, and let's actually talk about Colorado. I don't think you might know better than I do, but I know that we're not currently in a drought. But what I do know is that Colorado feeds its water into, I believe, 3 states, which are New Mexico, Arizona, and California.
Yeah, actually 7 western U.S. states draw water from the Colorado River. And if you're following it in the news, we're basically we came to the end of an agreement where Colorado had allocated a certain amount of water to each of these states, and we've basically signaled to these states, like, we will not do like a similar agreement going forward, because we just don't have the water to sustain these states. So the federal government's actually mandating Colorado and the other states affected come to an agreement on a plan forward. Some of that has to do with water conservation, lawn removal, even limiting people's indoor usage of water, which is obviously scary for some people. And we're kind of at a point where we have to be more conscientious about how we use water. And we're not in a drought right now. We've gotten, actually, luckily, we've had a pretty wet winter and everything, but it's kind of a short-term reprieve from a longer-term issue. When
I think of drought-tolerant plants, I think, and I'm sure that there are others in the same boat, I think of pretty much cactus and succulents. And most people don't necessarily want a yard full of cacti. So can you?
Fair to say.
Fair to say. And I know because I took a little class that there are other options aside from cacti and succulents. But can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? Is there attractive plants that we might want to put in our yards that use less water?
Yeah, I mean, we're really blessed in North America. The North American native plants, there is so much to choose from in terms of, flowering perennials, wildflower species, hardy shrubs. And in Colorado alone, there's really, really such a diverse and beautiful native plant palette to choose from that, you can still achieve soft, you can still achieve lush, you can still achieve green. All these things people assume aren't possible with low water plantings. It's really quite the opposite.
That is pretty awesome. That leads me to another question. While you were talking, I was thinking about, in Colorado, we have a pretty, diverse array of ecosystems, right? We have the mountains, which is pretty much why everybody lives here, but we are on the east of the mountains, and we're pretty much in the high desert, right? We're in the Great Plains. So I know that Crested Butte has the Wildflower Festival. So in Denver, is it okay, or does it make any sense to use plants from the mountains or from Crested Butte like that, or is it no holds bars, or do you need to be strategic about using alpine species versus desert species?
You do want to think about the surrounding ecosystem that you sit within. So like you said, Daryl, we're in a high desert, high plains environment. So the plants that are going to be the absolute most, low maintenance and adapted to the region are the ones that exist naturally in the area. That being said, when you look at alpine species and stuff, you can pull from these, surrounding native ecosystems, and Denver's actually a less harsh environment than higher elevation regions. So sometimes some plants that do well in Denver won't necessarily do well even up in Boulder or, certainly as you get up into the real mountain towns.
Right.
But most of what does well up there is going to thrive down here. So with Denver, you really have a lot of options in terms of what you can plant.
But is there any other advantage? I mean, we're talking about essentially saving on water here. Is there any other advantages aside from they use less water?
I mean, some of the other benefits that you have to consider, one is ecological productivity and environmental sustainability. A conventional lawn actually uses carbon to maintain because you're fertilizing it, and some of these other inputs, the lawn mowers and the fuel that goes into mowing a lawn.
Right.
A native perennial landscape actually sequesters carbon. So as we're, kind of in Colorado, one of our biggest concerns is water conservation, but one of the broader concerns, right, is climate change and the amount of carbon we're putting into the atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure.
So your landscape can either be a net positive or a net negative, and by planting native perennial plants, your property is going to be a net positive in that change. And then I think the last thing you just have to consider is aesthetics. I mean, a lawn can look nice. It looks nice some of the year. It doesn't look as nice when it turns brown, when you have to turn the water off.
True.
Frankly, in a high plains, high desert environment like Colorado, a green lawn in the middle of desert, it can look a little perverse, frankly. And so I do think when you consider that, we're in a place right now that, 4 seasons of the year in Denver, the Denver Botanic Gardens is this example of how native plants can look absolutely stunning. It certainly dispels the myth of cacti and rocks as a xeriscape.
Absolutely.
Everything around us is adapted, and we're here in winter, which is probably when you least expect your gardens to really shine. But you can see with some of the ornamental grasses and the seed pods, there's something really beautiful about watching these plants change through the season. So
for sure,
you're spending less money on them, and you're getting to enjoy native ecology right in your home landscape.
Definitely.
And whether you're a first-time home buyer or thinking about selling your home, these are landscapes that are becoming increasingly in demand, especially in places like Colorado, where municipalities are actually incentivizing you with, financial rebates to take your lawn out and replace it with these flowering native perennials.
Yeah, for sure. And now you mentioned, some government or municipality incentives. Can you talk a little bit about that and where people can go to find out if there's an incentive available for them?
Yeah, so the basic answer is the municipalities that are offering these incentives are increasing by the month and really by the year. So I know one that just took effect in the last year was Aurora. Aurora has a great lawn removal rebate program where it's basically $1 per square footage amount. So for every square foot of lawn you're willing to take out of your front, I believe it's your, so for every square foot of lawn you're willing to take out of your home landscape, they will pay you X amount of dollars. And, you know, with a few stipulations that you're replacing it with native planting.
Right. You had mentioned to me about, you know, having some, what did you say? Edible plants in your landscaping. And did you mean, instantly I thought, you know, do I want people picking tomatoes from my front yard? Not really. But I mean, what can you elaborate on that? I mean, I know I used to see these ornamental cabbages.
Yep.
You can't eat those, right?
Ornamental, typically not, but
they're not enjoyable to eat, I should say.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But can you talk a little bit about that? Is you know, utilizing edible? Should I say edible plants or should I just say vegetables?
No, I would broaden it to edible plants because
Okay.
it can be, you know, it can be everything from, you know, just a couple of fruit trees worked into your home landscape. It can be, you know, an herb garden that's right outside your back door that, you know, you're cutting fresh, you know, cilantro and parsley from and working it into your cooking. But the reason I brought it up to you is I think, especially, you know, in recent years, people are getting increasingly health conscious and really thinking about what they're putting into their body.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't take long when you look into, you know, the industrialized food systems that, you know, feed this country, that you realize where your food comes from is one of the paramount considerations you have to think about if you want to eat healthy. And so I'm personally of the mind that to do that, you have to grow some of your own food. And even in a place like Colorado, you know, we do have winters to contend with, so you're probably not going to be harvesting year round. Like I said, it can be as simple as working in a couple of fruit trees into your yard. Building a few raised planter boxes is a really cost-effective way and you know, efficient way to grow some different vegetables and things.
Sure.
Or even look into something like an herb spiral. You know, this is a nice landscape feature that is very aesthetically pleasing. You'll see it all over Pinterest with homeowners saying this is the dream. And just a great way to grow a lot of herbs in a small space. So if you're in kind of a small, you know, somewhat urban lot here in Denver, those are some great ways to grow a little bit of food, even on just a few thousand square feet lot. Yeah,
Anthony, that's awesome. What is your favorite Colorado native plant?
My favorite Colorado native plant? Gosh, there's so many. I would say Amelanchier is the Latin name for it, or serviceberry.
Serviceberry. Okay.
So there are so many varieties of this. You can get serviceberry trees, you can get serviceberry shrubs. They make a few varieties that are, you know, we call them in the landscape design industry. We call them. They actually, some of them do have edible properties. They're really, really a wildlife favorite. So native birds of Colorado love serviceberries.
Good to know.
And they just have so many great ornamental properties. I mean, from the fall foliage to the branching structure. You know, they're a pretty compact tree. So, you know, like I just said with the edible landscapes, but if you're in a lot in Denver that's, you know, maybe you don't have room for like a big oak tree in your front yard or a big maple, a serviceberry tree is a great, you know, compact tree that has a ton of ornamental value for your landscape.
Cool. All right, Anthony. Well, how can people get a hold of you and utilize your services? How can we get our yards landscaped by the Colorado native drought tolerant expert?
Yeah, so I live right here in Denver. You know, friend of Daryl's, and I think he'll put my contact info in the description. So
I will.
Whether you're like I said, whether you're a new home buyer who's just sort of grappling with what to do with their new landscape, or maybe if you're looking to sell your home and you're looking to add a little bit of value before you put it up on the market, you know, I'd be happy to talk to you and talk about what you can do to make a more productive and more beautiful landscape. Yeah, and landscaping is a great way to add value to your home and add value to your life. I mean, gardening's one of the most popular. I actually heard it's in the top like 3 most popular hobbies in America, and that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, and as we're spending more time at home, you know, post in 2020 and beyond, you know, Americans are spending more time than ever in their homes. So it's important to think about having a healthy and beautiful home environment, because, you know, it's never been more important to thrive in the environment that you're living in, because you're spending so much time there.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you so much
Yeah, thank
for
you, Daryl.
talking with us. Well, I love talking to guys like Anthony and making content like this. What I really love doing is helping people with their real estate journey. So if you're looking to buy, sell, invest, my information, my contact information will be in the description, as well as at the end of this video. So be sure to give me a call, and I will be sure to put Anthony's information in the description as well, so you can contact him if you're looking to make some changes in your life and you want drought tolerant and beautiful Colorado native landscaping. I'm Daryl Vaughn, Realtor. This is Anthony Gemma. I'll see you in the next video.